What's up, MMA fans? This is Jimmy Smith. If you aren't listening to my podcast, I'm glad you're listening to the Split Decision podcast with Phil, the MMA dude, and the Fight Geek. Enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Phil, the MMA dude, back with the Split Decision podcast, episode number 27, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing excellent as usual. Happy to be back and talk fights. Busy weekend. How are you, Phil?
I'm doing well. So much to discuss. We've got an action-packed episode, folks. First, we've got to do a UFC Greenville recap. Then we've got to move on to that Bellator London recap. Had some crazy upsets, especially at the top of that card. We're going to have to jump into that BKFC6 Lobov versus Paulie Malignaggi fight. Then after that, we're moving on to UFC Minneapolis predictions. And then my favorite segment, listener questions. And we've got even more to discuss. But let me start off the episode with this question for you, Fight Geek. And this is a unique question because I didn't come up with it. The listeners didn't come up with it. In fact, you came up with it. But you didn't know I was going to ask it of you.
Oh, really?
So, you asked, I thought it was, I despise giving you compliments, as you know. But this was a very good question. You said, what was the biggest surprise of the weekend? Was it Korean Zombie TKOing Moicano in under a minute? Was it Lovato Jr. beating Gegard Mousasi and taking the belt? Or was it Artem Lobov beating Paulie Malignaggi in a bare-knuckle boxing match? And that was a great question, but you did not answer it, and you didn't know I was going to ask this question. So tell me, what was the biggest surprise of the weekend?
Nice. I like what you did there. I think impact-wise on the state of MMA, the Mousasi loss and the victory for Lovato kind of elevating him up the ladder as a legitimate elite fighter. I mean, his jiu-jitsu has been elite for a while now. We know coming in he was kind of a specialist, but with his overall athleticism, his striking, his game plan, he's turned into a well-rounded champion. So I think for the overall landscape of MMA, Lovato Jr. becoming the middleweight champion is the biggest surprise of the weekend, especially doing it versus, I think Gegard's a 54-fight veteran and former champion, one of the greatest fighters on the planet today. But if you're asking me what excited me and surprised me the most, would have definitely be the Korean Zombie. I mean, that was the most anticipated fight this weekend just because in MMA, as a true MMA fan, these cult figures come through. Each era kind of has some. And I think just the aura, the walkout, the performances that the Korean Zombie has had has just really endeared him. He's a special type of MMA cult figure. And when he delivers, it's really special. So for me personally, the excitement of seeing him perform like that after a loss was super exciting and really surprised me because I think there was a lot of worry that, that last second knockout had taken a little bit out of him. But he continues to show technical improvements. He was very sharp with his boxing. I mean, that was one of the sharpest return fire right hands I'd seen in a while and just dropped Moicano. So, long-winded answer. I think for relevance purpose, it'd have to be Lovato Jr., but for my own personal excitement, the Korean Zombie knocking out Moicano, that was phenomenal.
Wow, no love for the ultimate upset. The GOAT defeating Paulie Malignaggi.
Ultimate upset?
Are you kidding me? That was one of the biggest upsets in combat sports history, no?
Oh, yeah. Why? Because Artem beat up a guy who talks about fights for a living? I mean, Paulie Malignaggi is a long time removed from being anywhere near elite boxer. So, I mean, anyone who thought that was a reflection of boxing's current state, hint, hint.
I mean,
maybe a little.
Hey, look, I looked at your poll, and people said that Artem beating Paulie was the biggest upset.
People did say that. It's surprising to me because I think both of us actually picked Artem.
We did. I was more obnoxious and loud about it as usual. Obnoxious, but
I do think Paulie did better than most people expected. Or at least he did better than I expected. I expected him to go in there and get brutalized. I think he did show some of his skill. Obviously, he's a defensive fighter. This wasn't a slugfest. You know, he was pumping his jab. He broke his hand. He was basically surviving in there, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that you were seeing, you know, Floyd Mayweather or even, you know, I mean, I think Adrian Broner in a bare knuckle fight's probably more dangerous than, you know, Paulie Malignaggi. So, it's not really, you know, MMA versus boxing. It was a bare knuckle fight between two completely polar opposite type fighters. It was somewhat of a circus fight, but, you know, it was entertaining. I think it was, I mean, the performance by Artem wasn't spectacular. It was...
No, the fight was garbage. The fight was garbage,
yeah.
To be clear. I mean...
So, you know, I mean, I don't know how anyone was so confident that Paulie was going to win that. They must not be overly familiar with Paulie's career. I mean, the last few years of Paulie's career, he was really struggling. He was getting stopped. He was having physical problems. So, I don't know why people thought that some, you know, top-level grade A boxer was going to be in bare knuckle.
Well, okay, hang on. In people's defense, and just for the record, Fight Geek, I'm not exaggerating. I got 30-plus DM messages saying how much people had lost respect for me for picking Artem, how I clearly knew nothing. They were unfollowing me, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy how many people gave me hate for that.
That's pretty dramatic over a bare knuckle FC main event.
I mean, look, but in their defense, they're thinking, look, Paulie is a 2-time boxing world champion.
But can any one person who is making the claim that Paulie's a 2-time boxing or world champion, do any of those people know who Paulie won his belts from, or do they know what years that happened? I would go ahead and say 99% of the people using that argument have no clue when or who Paulie won his titles against. So that point is completely moot. It's a decade ago. That's like saying, you know, I mean, I don't even know how to compare that to something that's relevant. But I mean, that was so long ago. The guy's been retired and commentating for Showtime the last 5 years or something, right?
Yeah. I'm curious. Very ironic you brought up Adrian Broner. I believe that Broner was talking trash to Paulie years ago because he stole his girlfriend.
That did happen. That's the last time I can honestly remember Paulie Malignaggi being considered elite, is when he challenged versus Adrian Broner, which, I mean, off the top of my head, had to be 7 or 8 years ago. So, I don't know who thought Paulie was going to come in and look like, you know, Muhammad Ali in there.
A lot of people did. A lot.
Well, a lot of people must not be familiar with the type of fighter that Paulie Malignaggi is, or the type of fighter Artem is, because I could tell you there was no way in hell Paulie Malignaggi, even with 2 hands, was going to stop Artem. No matter how many crazy words he said, he was never going to knock out Artem in that fight.
Yeah, and
Artem's head is 10 times harder than Paulie's hands, and I think that's proven fact.
So let me ask you this, and I know we're focusing on this fight right now, so we're going to get this coverage out of the way, and then it's going to be done for the episode. Let me ask you this. Artem Lobov, who had I believe, 13-15 MMA record, goes into a bare-knuckle boxing match and defeats a 2-time boxing world champion. How is that not a total humiliation for the sport of boxing? Please tell me.
Simple. Paulie Malignaggi is not an active boxer. So you can't, I mean, it's an irrelevant point. He's not an active boxer.
Artem's a losing MMA fighter. He's got a losing effing record.
So a retired boxer versus sub-500 MMA fighter had a bare-knuckle fight that was lackluster, and you're trying to say boxing is dead based on those facts.
I'm not saying boxing is dead. I'm saying it was.
I think you did say boxing was dead.
Well, I think I said it too. I mean, I'm known for my outrageous and dramatic claims, but I definitely don't think. I mean, what does that say about boxing world titles?
When Fury Wilder 2 happens, do you think anyone's going to give two shits about Paulie Malignaggi losing a decision to Artem Lobov in bare knuckle FC?
No, but it is bare knuckle boxing. I mean, there were no kicks, there were no takedowns. Fight again,
anyone's going to be like, you know what, we shouldn't buy this fight because bare knuckle killed boxing when Paulie lost.
Oh,
Nobody
come on.
cares.
You don't think
Nobody cares.
You don't think boxing took any kind of reputational hit?
Absolutely not. Not in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that Paulie Malignaggi was representing boxing at all. He's an old retired fighter who's a commentator for Showtime. The only reason he had a claim to this fight is because he went out of his way to spar with Conor McGregor, got embarrassed, and the only way he could have got back at Conor is to beat Artem. It didn't happen. Let this die. Let's not bring boxing into this.
Okay, that's fair. I have two last questions. The first one is, how did you score the fight? Some people were saying that Paulie should have won. I'm very curious how you scored it.
I mean, this is hard to score, man. You know, it's if you're scoring it as a boxing match, and I saw a lot of this online.
No, it's a bare knuckle FC. It's not boxing.
Exactly, but a lot of people are saying if you score it this way, that way, yada yada. I mean, obviously, I would say that Paulie did enough in a boxing match to outpoint him, but that's not what bare knuckle FC is. They've openly stated some of the things they're looking for. The forward pressure of Artem is scored. You know, Artem is the perfect vessel for bare knuckle fighting. You know what I mean? The guy's head is made is a cinder block, and he just keeps moving forward. So unless you knock Artem out, I don't see how you're going to win a bare knuckle fight against him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, back to your question. You know, I don't even know that I cared to score it, but I could see 48-47 Artem.
Yeah. That's how
based on, you know, the forward pressure, the fact that he did drop Paulie at one point.
Wait, did he? Hold up. Did he drop Paulie?
I think in the third round, it was a glancing shot that maybe knocked him off balance or something. But there was a lot.
He hurt him. I don't think he dropped Paulie ever, to be honest.
Maybe it was like a stumble. Are you sure?
No, I'm not.
Out of a clinch?
I'm not sure.
I'm not. I watched like 20 fights on Saturday night, so it kind of all blurs together. But
okay.
All right, so I would say 48-47 Artem. But I could definitely see, you know, someone who's watching from a boxing point of view say, oh, Paulie landed the jab. He stayed away. You know, if you looked at both of their faces, Artem was busted up again.
I mean, so was Paulie. Did you see the cut above his eyebrow?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had a couple cuts, and then his nose looked smashed. But Artem, again, both eyes lumped up, both cheeks lumped up, you know.
Yeah. So I agree. I did score it 48-47. I thought that Paulie took the first two rounds. The first round was it was as close of a round as you can score. You know, you could make the argument that Artem won 4-1, frankly, because Paulie didn't do a whole lot in that first round. I think he definitely won the second. I had Artem winning the third, which was also close, and then 4 and 5 very comfortably. So I scored it 48-47 for Artem as well. But you could make that argument that Artem won the first round too. So anyways, I thought it was a very, very interesting fight.
Very interesting, but I don't feel like it really delivered much. I think the Jason Knight fight, like I mentioned many times, was way better, and I felt like would be way better just because of the kind of versatility and toughness Jason Knight brings to the table. Well, I don't think that being overly skilled in bare knuckle FC is the most important thing.
Right.
I think being brutally tough and able to kind of weather some savage conditions is a big part of it. You know what I mean? And I actually give a lot of credit to Paulie for stepping into that arena, for taking those fists, for getting cut up. And, you know, a lot of people can say what they want and hate on these guys, but whenever you sign a contract and you show up and you take the lumps, I mean, you got to give the guys the respect.
Okay, yeah, and I've heard that from a lot of people. I mean, come on, what, we're going to give Paulie a standing ovation for not bitching out of the fight?
Well, no, I mean, he didn't have to take the fight to begin with.
Well, he lives in his parents'
anytime,
basement. Of course he had to take the fight. You know he's broke, right?
Oh, yeah. What are you, getting your scoops from Artem?
I mean, Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude, letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. So moving on to UFC Greenville. The UFC Greenville fight.
Underrated card.
Yeah, it was. So I want to start off. We'll start off at the top and we'll go down here. So the Korean Zombie Chan Sung Jung defeating Renato Moicano via TKO punches, 58 seconds into the first round. What did you make of that performance?
Guy keeps getting better. I mean, he argued he was going to beat Yair if he didn't take that Hail Mary loss.
Let's be honest, that was one of the biggest fluke, lucky, freak things.
That's what Hail Mary means.
Yeah.
Yes. But if he pulls that out and doesn't get knocked out there, he's going to win that decision. He's on a 3-fight winning streak since his comeback, which is pretty impressive. So this was just kind of reminding us that he's still ascending, I guess you'd say. I think he looked better than ever physically. The punch combination, after he came back with the overhand right, he hit Moicano, who was already almost out on his feet, with a left check hook on his way down, and then just finished him. I loved that performance. And then kind of the love that, Greenville gave him, which is bizarre. The whole card was bizarre. There was no tie to South Carolina whatsoever, but the crowd seemed to be enjoying all the action, so that was cool.
They're going, zombie, right? Zombie. South Carolina, I thought it was hilarious.
South Carolina's native son, the Korean Zombie.
Yeah, so I do not want to ask you what's next for Korean Zombie yet, because that's in listener questions. But what I do want to ask you is, where does Moicano go from here?
Yeah, man, it's tough when you get to the top of the 145-pound division. There's just tough guys. So I still think he has a pretty bright future. Was Moicano actually older than the Korean Zombie? Or they're almost the same age, which is crazy. You think of the Zombie as a veteran, but I think he's only like 31. He's just coming into his prime.
I want to say he's 32. Yeah, you're right. It's 31 or 32 for sure.
So for Moicano,
Moicano's 30, by the way.
So yeah, they're almost the same age. Moicano's lost. Jeremy Stevens is coming off a couple losses. Let's see Moicano versus Stevens.
I like that. I like that fight a lot. Good answer. I like that. And then, okay, so moving on a little down the card, the co-main event. This was actually, I think, a little bit of an under the radar huge story, in my opinion. Rude Boy Randy Brown defeating Brian Barberena via TKO.
Who picked the Rude Boy though?
Was that you?
Of course.
Okay. Oh wow.
That's my way of bragging.
Only I can be a jerk. Only I can be a jerk and brag. No. Yeah, I did pick Barberena. I was wrong. No, but seriously, I was so impressed with Randy Brown. He defeated Barberena via TKO punches, 2 minutes, 54 seconds into the third round. What a performance. What a performance. I mean, seriously. Yeah. What's this kid's limit? What is
physically he has all the tools in the world. I think you can see that. He's I believe he's 6'3".
He's tall.
Is that how
I
tall?
know that.
He's 6'3" in the 170-pound division.
Yeah,
right?
he's 6'3", you're right. Yep.
So he's enormous for that division. He obviously has a lot of physical tools. He fights with a discipline. I think we've seen him get better over the last couple fights too. Even if you look back to the Mickey Gall fight, he was not nearly this composed. And I'd say Brian Barberina's a better fighter today than Mickey Gall.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I think you're seeing him improve. How old is he? Are you looking at his bio right now?
Randy Brown?
Yeah.
He's 28.
So he's 28. He's barely entering his prime. He's 6'3". He's got all the physical tools in the world. So yeah, I think he has, contender potential for sure. Maybe a fringe title challenger someday.
What do you think of, and this is a little weird of a fight, I admit. What do you think of Randy Brown versus Kevin Lee?
What about Randy Brown versus Darren Till?
Is Randy ready for that?
Is Darren ready for that?
Yeah, I mean, isn't Darren going? Well, I don't know what's going on.
Darren Till's coming off 2 losses and a brutal KO loss, so nobody knows what his mental state will be when he comes back.
Is he moving up?
I'm not sure. I listened to an interview with Dana. No one's confirming that. They're all saying that Till's going back to square one and kind of rebuilding. But I don't anticipate him moving up. Every time something happens, everybody chatters about moving up, moving down. That only happens, 30% of the time or something. So I expect him to stay for a little while. Darren Till is super young.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Moving on to, so bantamweight fight between Andre Ewell. He defeated Anderson dos Santos, unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-28, 29-27.
How did that fight get on the main card?
That's a great question. I don't know. And I didn't really like the fight. And I don't have too much to say about it, if I'm being honest.
I like Ewell's reach and the way he switches stances. He can present some problems, but yeah, I mean, it's a fight that should have been on the prelims.
I agree. I think that Ewell's, even despite the weight, he's still got a long way to go. I think we can move on. Women's flyweight Andrea KGB Lee defeating Montana De La Rosa via unanimous decision, 30-27, 30-27, 29-28. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said brutal performance. She was beating up Montana De La Rosa. Big fan of Montana. I think she's got a lot of potential still, but you could see she was clearly outclassed on the feet, and then she just took so much damage that it really affected her cardio and her overall game plan. She couldn't get any takedowns. So great performance by KGB Lee. Super interested to see where she goes. That division needs another contender, and I think she's probably it.
Yep, I completely agree with you. So I know that Liz Carmouche obviously is fighting for the belt against Valentina Shevchenko in Uruguay in a rematch. Liz Carmouche won the first fight. Do you know, and she was supposed to fight, Carmouche was supposed to fight Roxanne Modafferi. Do you know if Roxanne, does she have a new opponent? She may.
I'm not familiar. No, I don't know.
Okay, because I want to make Andrea KGB Lee versus Roxanne. What do you think of that fight?
That's a good fight. It's a very awkward matchup, but yeah, I'll watch it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Kevin Holland defeats Alessio Di Chirico via unanimous decision again in middleweight. I didn't see a lot of great stuff.
I thought Holland lost that fight. I don't know.
Really? Yeah, it was not a good fight. It was not a good fight. Let's be honest. Let's move on. I don't really have too much to say there. Featherweight Dan, is it Ige? Is that how you say it?
Dan Ige versus
Kevin Aguilar.
That was a fun fight with a lot of back and forth action. Those guys both scrap. I love that fight.
Yeah. Where would you like to see Dan Ige go from here?
Dan Ige is pretty good.
He's a featherweight, and
he's on a 4-fight winning streak. Featherweight.
I have an idea. Ready?
How about Peter Yan? Or no, I keep thinking he's at 145. He's 135. Who do you got? Go.
You just ruined my concentration, brah. I got it. Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good one.
Yup.
It's a very good fight.
Okay, women's strawweight, Ashley Yoder defeats Suri Kondo via a dominating unanimous decision.
Yeah,
Very
it was a snooze fest, but she had top control for like 90% of the fight.
Yeah, she also looked like she'd been fake tanning for about
there, really?
5 days too much. Sorry?
I said, is there really anything to break down on that fight?
No, let's move on. Okay, this fight I want to break down. Lightweight. Violent Bob Ross, Luis Pena, defeating Matt Wyman. First and foremost, I want to say that I'm pissed because I am a gambling addict, and I had this fight going over 2.5 rounds, and I missed out by about a minute, maybe a minute and 15 seconds. Matt, you really let me down. I just needed another minute.
Come on, Matt fought his heart out.
No, he did. Oh my, he showed so much heart.
He looked so physically outmatched. It really was.
Unfair. I thought this was Pena's best performance of all time by a mile. What do you think?
Well, of course it was. They matched him up with a guy who was smaller, older, hadn't fought in 4 years. I mean, if Luis Pena can't win that fight, they need to cut Pena.
Hey, put some respect on Matt Wyman.
Well, I like Matt Wyman, but again, he hasn't fought in 4 years. He was smaller. What kind of opponent is that for Pena? I don't think we take too much from that. He did look good physically. He trains at AKA. He's got physical talent, but I don't think we know what his future holds based off that performance versus Matt Wyman.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on, heavyweight. Jairzinho Rozenstruik defeating Alan Crowder in the second fastest finish in heavyweight history. KO punches 9 seconds into the first round.
Let me say this.
Yep.
If Alan Crowder's chin is that bad and Hardy couldn't finish him, I mean, I like seeing these type of things. I mean, that guy, what is his name again? The guy who won? Jairzinho
Rozenstruik.
That guy barely touched Alan Crowder, and he was out on his feet, and then the second one put him in la-la land. I mean, that was some serious power, but, I mean, that was crazy how easy it seemed like he went out. So I don't know if his chin is shot or what, but that was crazy.
Yeah, what would you like to see next for Rozenstruik?
Rozenstruik. I mean, I have no idea what would even be next. He's like 8-0, so he's like brand new. He's a heavyweight, correct?
Yes, he's a heavyweight.
Let's match Rozenstruik up with the winner of Mo Green and Albini on this upcoming card.
Ooh, I weirdly like that, actually. Okay. Women's flyweight, Molly Meatball McCann defeating... I was so upset defeating Ariana Lipski. I'm not going to lie.
This fight was pretty awesome, dude. Did you
I'm in love with Lipski. I'm in love with her, so I don't like her losing. I don't like to see it. It makes me upset.
Yeah. I think she fought well, but Meatball Molly McCann is a scrapper, and I think this was by far her best technical performance. She was throwing spinning stuff. She was getting late takedowns in the round. I mean, Molly McCann looked like a contender in that match. Looked very good, very impressive to me.
Yeah, no, she's improved so much. I was just, look, I feel bad for Lipski if I'm being honest. She has got to work on her wrestling. She's got to. Because she looks like it's a Muay Thai fight every time.
Yeah, exactly. But even she doesn't like get to the clinch and use her Muay Thai in the clinch at all. So it's like,
right. I know.
I mean, basically, she's just on the outside point fighting. So,
she's like a kickboxer.
Exactly, and she doesn't really possess a lot of power. So I mean, I think she's gonna have a hard time actually, because I thought she did well in spurts versus Molly, but Molly was just so tough that she really wasn't able to push her back at all.
Yeah, and then last fight here, Deron Winn defeating Eric Spicely via unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. I'll start off. I thought that I was not particularly impressed with Deron Winn. Spicely showed a lot of toughness, but Winn got rocked a bunch of times, and I was, I'm a little hesitant on really saying that Deron Winn is going to be a future contender. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, from an aesthetic point of view, that fight was super fun. Obviously, dogfight, war, back and forth. Both guys were hitting each other with everything. Spicely was out on his feet a couple times, blasted through. But no, I think I agree with you. You know, Spicely's a guy who was cut from the U or let go from the UFC and then came back. Was never really known as, you know, a big power puncher per se. And he had Win rocked a couple times, especially on the elbows in the clinch. And that's something I think that Wynn's going to have a big problem with, being 5'6", especially in a 185-pound division.
Yep.
He's just, anytime he's in that strike zone for the elbows and the clinch, you know, he's easy to hit in there. You know what I mean? Obviously, he doesn't have a lot of big stage experience also, so I feel like, I'm not saying he doesn't have the cardio, but he just hasn't gone 3 hard rounds with UFC veterans yet. So you can see that was the deepest water he'd ever been in.
Right.
With that being said, you know, he still shows quite a bit. He throws power hooks. You know, he's compact, so he does have that going for him. Obviously, he's a great wrestler. He doesn't seem to want to use it all at this point, but I think if he's going to be super successful, that'll have to be something he implements against, you know, some of the higher end guys, because, you know, being that short is just going to present some problems for him, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, are we ready to move on to Bellator 223 London?
Well, first, tell me who you want Deron Winn to fight next.
Put me on the...
Okay. 185. Let's give him someone.
All right, that's fine.
Where can he go from here?
You know, I think what I think would be a good fight for him is, you know, put him against. Okay, I got 2 names. Okay, Antonio Carlos Jr. or David Branch.
Ooh, those are 2 big guys.
No, he's gonna get his ass kicked by
both
either.
of those guys can fight at 205 and have fought at 205, I think. And Deron Winn at 5'6", I think he would struggle mightily with both of those guys.
But I just named the number 13 and number 15 contenders.
Yeah, I mean, I think he might have enough power to catch David Branch and, you know, knock him down.
I don't know. I wouldn't bet on it.
But I wouldn't like his chances. So who's the number 15, 185?
David Branch.
Wow. Yeah, so that's a tough uphill climb. It'll be interesting to watch for sure.
14 is Uriah Hall. I don't like his chances more there either.
Well, he could probably get Uriah Hall to the ground, though. I'd like his chances against Uriah Hall a lot more than those other guys.
Okay. I mean, yeah, middleweight's stacked. So, you know, again, like I said, I don't feel great about Deron Winn's future, frankly. I really don't. I wasn't impressed. But yeah. Anyways, okay, we ready to move on to Bellator?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Be quick about it. I don't think there's a lot of great fights.
No. We'll go real fast here. So my first question, first of all, is it Rafael Lovato Jr. or is it Rafael Lovato Jr.?
I think it's Rafael.
Okay, that's what I thought because he's American. Okay, so Rafael Lovato Jr. defeats Gegard Mousasi via majority decision. I guess what my real question for you is, was this Gegard Mousasi just, you know, having a horrendous performance, or is Lovato Jr. just that good?
I think I wouldn't say it's a horrendous performance by Mousasi. I don't think it's one of his better performances, but I don't think you can say that that's not because Lovato Jr. is very good. You know, I really think Lovato Jr. is good. I thought he was good before this performance, and now this is like he's really good. You know, you look what Gegard Mousasi just did to Rory McDonald. He steamrolled Rory McDonald. Who, you know, Rory is Rory. He's
Rory's a welterweight.
He's still extremely skilled. He's still a name. So you just know going into it that, you know, Gegard Mousasi is the type of guy who knows how to prepare for everybody. It's not like he was unprepared. Whether or not he had a good night at work or not can be debated, but I've heard some people say, oh, he took him lightly. He didn't train. I can 100% guarantee you that Gegard Mousasi trained the same way for this fight as he trains for every single fight, you know, or at least, you know, the last 20 fights of his career.
Yeah.
I just think that Rafael Lovato Jr. has that base of elite jiu-jitsu, and he's built on that. He has enough striking and athleticism to hang. and I think he hung in the spots where he needed to hung well enough and won in the spots he needed to win, and that's what elite fighters do. So it'll be, I mean, this sets him up for a great fight with Machida. If he would find a way through that, it sets him up for a great rematch with Mousasi. So, I mean, we're talking about if this guy gets through the next few fights, I mean, he could arguably be one of the mantle holders for Bellator.
Yeah, so are they I have heard that rumor. Are they definitely doing Machida before the Mousasi rematch?
There's nothing been announced yet, but I've listened to both Lovato Jr. Interviews since the weekend, and on Ariel's show, he said that he would like to put his focus somewhere else since he focused on Mousasi.
They don't care what he wants. They don't care what he wants, though.
I know, but Machida just had a highlight reel knockout. You could put him in there. That's a good fight. The guy who just beat Mousasi versus Machida coming off a highlight reel.
Yeah.
Machida also has beaten Rafael Carvalho, the former Bellator champion. That makes sense, and Mousasi can sit out and wait for the winner. I mean, that sounds like a perfect plan of action for me. Either way, your champion is Lovato Jr., who's defended a few times, Machida, who's a big investment, or Mousasi, who's already one of your former champions. So,
right,
that's a no-brainer situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I just want to go really fast through this. I mean, are there any fights you really want to highlight? Aaron Chalmers got a win over Fred Freeman via submission. Paul Daly defeated Eric Silva via unanimous decision. James Gallagher.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah, James Gallagher won a unanimous decision after apparently having a panic attack. Did you hear this? He had a panic attack off stage before the fight.
I did not hear that. I was hoping. I didn't catch. What were his antics like before the announcing him?
Gallagher is a little hard to watch, if I'm being honest. I've never, you think Dylan Dennis copies Conor McGregor. I mean, just look at Gallagher. I mean,
this is carbon copy. At least Dylan has like his own swag with it a little bit.
Yeah. It's hard to watch without cringing, frankly.
I did see him drinking the proper 12 at his post-fight press conference.
God.
That's like, goodness, man.
Jeez,
Stand on your own, brother. Stand on your own.
Yeah. So I don't have much to say about the rest of the card, if I'm being honest.
Let's get into these listener questions. I think we
Whoa. We got to do UFC Minneapolis, brah.
Oh, I forgot. Let's do it.
Yeah, there's so much to cover tonight. It's crazy. All right, so if I may be so bold, may I make the first pick? Because in my defense, I gave you a lot of the first picks last episode.
You absolutely may, Phil.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that, Fight Geek. Thank you. So we've got Francis Ngannou versus Junior Dos Santos in the main event of UFC Minneapolis. I can't wait. I can't wait for this fight. I think it's great. I really, really think it's great. Both fighters have been on a tear. They've both looked amazing. JDS has looked like a man, like a new man. I mean, he's looked incredible. And Ngannou, ever since that horrendous Lewis performance, he's looked like a bat out of hell. He's coming to kill, not just to win. And I have a prediction, and I think it's going to be very controversial, okay? I really do. I think that Francis Ngannou is going to knock out Junior Dos Santos at the end of the first round.
It's so controversial. I think he's going to knock out Junior Dos Santos in the first round, and I think it'll probably be quick.
Really?
Yeah, I think
JDS has looked great.
Huh? Yeah, he is great. He's also weathered a little bit. Don't think he's faced the kind of power he's going to face right here with the fast twitch. And like you said, since the Derek Lewis performance, I think that Francis has mentally come into his own a little bit. Maybe his confidence is at a place where, he's feeling comfortable. And this is clearly a number one contender match, right? Whoever wins this should get the next heavyweight shot.
Yeah.
So with all of that put together, I mean, this is set up to be the performance of Ngannou's lifetime. I mean, he's got all the steam in the world right now after his last couple wins. Number one contender match versus a former champion. He's had a little bit of people haven't been sure, because of, the loss to Stipe and then the bad performance. They've kind of like settled on him a little bit. And now the flame has been stroked a little bit with the knockout of Curtis Blades. Was that his last fight or was there one since then? Oh, no, he knocked out Kane. I was there live.
Yes.
Yeah. So 2 knockouts in a row. I just think he's streaking. I think his confidence is an all-time high. And I think in the first round against him, he is super dangerous. And I think that JDS is going to get caught. That's just what I think.
Wow. I thought I was making this really gutsy prediction that was going to be really controversial, and then you agree with me.
Well, don't feel bad. There's only 2 choices, so.
Yeah, okay, true. All right, so we both
think
Ngannou.
All right, co-main event.
Co-main. Josier Formiga versus Joseph Benavidez. You can make this pick first.
Super duper tough fight. I know a lot of people are going to go Formiga. I'm going to take Joseph Benavidez. Joey B knows that it's now or never for that last title shot in the UFC. There may be one flyweight title fight left, and it may be the winner of this fight versus Henry Cejudo. With that being said, Joey B, his legacy is on the line. Probably not technically, but within his mindset, I would say. He knows that it's now or never if he wants to make this happen. He's getting older. He's established. The division, whether people, whether Dana says it or not, is evaporating before our eyes. So I think he'll come in with everything to prove. I'm taking Joseph Benavidez by split decision.
Ooh, okay. I mean, not too different for me. I've got Benavidez by unanimous decision.
Fair enough.
2 rounds to 1, by the way. So
yeah, I think we're probably in the minority there.
Really?
But,
is Formiga the I don't know. I haven't looked at the odds. Is Formiga the favorite?
Just from listening to Twitter, it seems like Formiga's favored by quite a few people.
All right. Moving on. Welterweight, and we're not going to go through every fight, by the way, but I want to cover this one. Welterweight, Damian Maia versus Anthony Rocco Martin, a.k.a. Tony Martin, and then once he started dating Kayla Harrison, she told him to change it to Anthony Rocco, and he was terrified because God knows he can't take her. So he said, yes, ma'am. Anthony Rocco it is. Please don't kill me. I don't blame him. Obviously, he'd get his ass beat by her.
So who you taking in the fight?
I got Damian Maia, the human backpack, by 2nd round submission. I think he's going to find the back of Rocco Martin, and he's just going to choke that dude out cold.
Yep. I see it happening in the first round.
Wow, really?
I think while they're dry, he'll get a hold of him, and
Okay.
I know Anthony Martin has good jiu-jitsu, and he's a more well-rounded fighter, a little younger, a little more juice, but Maia is a specialist of the highest regard, and I think that it'll show through.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to cover every fight here, so tell me if you're offended. I'm skipping anyone, but light heavyweight Alonzo Menifeld versus Paul Craig. Who do you got?
I'm taking Alonzo Menifeld in this one. The Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series alum. Just was high on him as a prospect. I believe he won his UFC debut, correct?
I believe he did as well.
Yeah. So Paul Craig's tough guy, very tough guy, but I think Alonzo Menifield's going to get his hands on him, win via TKO.
Which round?
Trying to get out of that. We'll say 2nd round.
Darn it! I'm going to say 3rd. I'm going to say 3rd just to be a jerk and try to disagree here. Okay. Oh, all right. Moving on. Gosh, so a lot of these fights honestly aren't great on the prelims. I'm just being completely honest here. Jared Gordon versus Dan Moret. Who do you got?
I'm taking Dan Moret.
Really?
Yeah, Jared Gordon took a brutal loss in his last fight. I think he also blew his knee out, right, and is recovering from an injury.
Yeah, he took some kind of bad injury, yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like that's going to be a lot to come back from, and if I'm not mistaken, Dan Moret has looked pretty good in some of his recent performances, and I just think that's a tough fight for Gordon to come back from, and I think that Moret gets it done. I like Jared Gordon, but I have a feeling it'll be a 3rd round TKO.
All right, I got Jared Flash Gordon by split decision. Moving on, women's strawweight. I got Emily Whitmire defeating Amanda Ribas via stoppage in the second. What about you?
Emily Whitmire via submission in the second.
Yeah, I meant submission. Stoppage is where I cheat, where I try to cover all the bases. Okay, last one. Maurice Green versus Junior Albini. Who you got?
This is a tough one because Mo Green is like smoking cigarettes at weigh-in and stuff, but then he wins.
Such a bum.
So
sorry, but come on.
So and Albini's a guy who I was high on and hasn't looked good lately, but I'm gonna go ahead and take Maurice Green by split decision. I think it'll be ugly, but I think he'll do enough to win that.
Interesting. I have Junior Albini via split decision. So
interesting.
Go figure. Okay, all right. I think that we've had enough of this card, and it is definitely time to move on to the listener question.
Very nice. Yes, it is. You got one queued up?
You like those pipes? I've been working on those pipes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got one lined up. This is with Fighting With Myself podcast. I love this guy, by the way. Great guy. Given the current landscape of the heavyweight division, oh geez, you're not gonna like this question. How do you see a grappling match between Luke Thomas and Chael Sonnen going down? And second question, what does Thiago Santos have to do to beat John Jones? Go ahead.
The grappling match between Luke and Chael would be like your big brother sitting on your chest and smacking yourself with your own hands.
Yeah,
like
we don't need to go into that one. What does Santos have to do?
What does he have to do? He has one path to victory, and that's to flash knockout John Jones. Otherwise, maybe find out where he's staying and slip something in his drink. I don't know.
That's a little harsh. I think that the way I worded it a few weeks ago was I said...
It's a little harsh? How do you see him beating
Okay,
John Jones?
No. The way that I worded it a few weeks ago was that Santos has to pull a second and third round Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes. He's just got to go. He's got
Marlon
to go.
Moraes is not John Jones. John
Correct.
Jones
Correct.
It uses his space 10 times better than Marlon Moraes.
Did I say that I think that Santos is going to win? No.
Well, how can that game plan be? Why do you want that game plan versus it's just
okay.
You just need bomb rushing.
Because I'll put it this way: name a fighter that Jones has fought that hits harder than Santos, and you can't say DC because DC wasn't at heavyweight, so he wasn't at his natural weight.
Well, I mean,
Santos is the hardest hitter he's going to fight.
He fought Rashad Evans in his prime. Rashad Evans almost killed Chuck Liddell. You don't think he's a hard hitter?
He's a hard hitter, but I do think Santos has an X factor.
I would say Rampage, when John Jones fought him, was just as powerful of a puncher as Thiago Santos is today.
I'm trying to keep this interesting, Fight Geek. Darn it.
Well, I mean, I'm just tired of people acting like John Jones hasn't fought big punchers. I mean, that's absolutely absurd.
No, of course he has. I mean, come on. He's one of the best. I despise him, and I'll still say he's one of the best fighters on the planet. Of course. How could I not?
But I'm just saying he's fought big punchers just because it was a few years back. I mean, guys, he beat, Ryan Bader's a big puncher nowadays. He knocks guys out. He fought Ryan Bader. I mean, obviously Ryan Bader's not Anthony Rumble Johnson, but
Bader also, at heavyweight, he did all this stuff. So there's a difference.
That's true. But, I mean, Glover Teixeira is a big, powerful puncher who he fought, So, you don't think so? It was a little later in his career. But if you're telling me prime Rashad Evans doesn't hit harder than Thiago Santos, I don't believe you, who's a former 185er.
I mean, I think we can both agree that Santos essentially has no chance.
I told you, he has a flash knockout chance. I mean, he's not going to out-grapple John. He's not going to control him with top control. He's not going to outsmart him or out-game plan him. He's not going to beat him on points. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. Do you have a question? Or you want me to go?
Sure, why not? It's from MMA Stu, at MMA_Stu.
Oh, gosh. couldn't save that one for the end?
I
Hi,
didn't
Stu.
even look
Hello,
at it ahead
Stu.
of time, so.
I love you, Stu.
Okay, nice and easy one for you guys this time. If we cross basketball and mixed martial arts, would we call it MBA or MMBA, NMBA, NBMA? Got any thoughts?
Yeah, I think the answer, and I thought long and hard about this. I actually spent several hours researching this and thinking about it. That's kind of the type of question I like to
There
spend.
is only one answer to this.
The answer is C, NBMA, National Basketball
even
Martial
close.
Arts. Are you kidding me, bro? National Basketball Martial Arts. How can you not say NBMA?
National Martial Arts Basketball Association.
All right, we're like losing listeners by the second. They're so pissed off with this question. All right, we better move on.
Let's go.
Okay, so from our good friend Kenneth Robert, that's at Mr_Tiddlewinks, says, with the news that Covington and Lawler verbally agreed to a bout, do you guys think that Colby's lost all credibility with his interim belt? Has the UFC stopped trying to push Colby as a star? Go ahead.
First off, I hate this fight. And second off, yes and yes. Colby's lost all credibility. The promoter of the company's already said that he's passed up his chance at the belt, yada, yada. They took his belt away. Outside of Colby making super duper cringy, creepy videos on his own time, the UFC's like completely done promoting him from what I can see. So yeah, I don't think they're trying to push him as a star at all. Do you?
No, not at all. But hard to blame them. I think it's harder to see a bigger attempted heel promotion that failed wildly than Colby Covington. I mean, it just didn't work. It just didn't work out.
Well, the thing is he's just not fighting. He's one of those guys who got like 70% there and now is resting on his laurels. And once, his biggest win is RDA. That's a good win, but that doesn't mean you're the champ. That doesn't mean you're the best fighter in the world.
Yeah, and it was also over a year ago, by the way.
Exactly. So his biggest claim to fame is getting, smaller and smaller day by day. Usman just, and we don't have to get into that fight, beat Woodley in the fight Covington was supposed to have, thus stealing all of the competitive glory that was available. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You have a question or should I go?
Sure. At Grasp Gains.
Okay. What up, Grasp Gains?
Thoughts on Sugar Sean? Is he another John Jones to fill at this point? And JDS versus Ngannou, the winner has to fight for the title next, right? I think we already covered that. JDS and Ngannou's clear number one contender match.
Hold on. Let me say one thing. If DC loses to Stipe and he doesn't retire, does he not have an immediate rematch argument with Stipe for a third fight? It would be 1-1.
That's a great point, and he absolutely would. Depending on the damage, you could flip one of these guys in, and then DC could face the winner, or Stipe can face the winner. So either way, it's going to be a triangle with those three people. Unless Stipe loses, because then it would be 0-2 and no reason to do that.
Right.
And then technically you could match up the loser of DC versus Stipe versus the loser of JDS versus Ngannou, and all those matches make sense.
Yeah.
But DC's not going to go fight, JDS or Ngannou.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Yeah. If he doesn't get that, I think that there's a good chance that DC retires after the 241 fight no matter what. But if he doesn't and he's not getting that the immediate title rematch, I think he definitely retires.
I think Dana said today that Cormier has 3 fights left. This one and 2 more.
That's not what DC said. That's nice for Dana to say that. That's not what DC said. DC said he's not going to see himself fighting much past 241, word for word.
Interesting. All right, now let's get to the other question. Thoughts on Sugar Sean O'Malley? He's a 2-time.
Can I take this? Okay. So I know that a lot of people think, oh man, Phil, here we go with the big drug cheat, beat down. No, listen, no. I am fair. People don't get it. I'm actually very reasonable here.
Sure.
Stop. I give everyone one fuck up, or excuse my language, one mess up, whatever. And Sugar Sean made that mistake, and so now he's strike one, and there's only 2 strikes. But I'm not going to sit here and say that was his second mistake. It's not true. It was clearly, from the first. It was from the first, drug test, and it's just lingering.
Yes.
I don't count it. So
part,
no. In short, Sugar Sean's fine.
With that science after the John Jones stuff is just comical. So let's.
Okay. Oh, you really want to go there, bro?
I don't.
Jones screwed up like 5 times. We can play that game all day.
But 3 of them were the same one that were decreasing like Sean. It's only okay for Sean though?
So you're comparing Jones to Sean. Oh, let's not go there.
No, that's what the question was. I'm saying, why are you arbitrarily okay with it?
Oh, I'm happy to answer. No.
Trace from single use on one guy, but when they say it's trace use from a single time on John Jones, you say it's absolutely appalling.
Because the trace with John Jones was after the second time he'd been caught. So AKA it was the 3rd time, not the 2nd time.
Whatever, let's go.
So anyway, Sugar Sean's okay in my book for now, but he's on thin ice.
Okay. All right. You got another one?
Yeah, yes, I do. Okay, from at a reusable shoe. Congratulations on your win with the free hat, by the way, reusable shoe. Who do you think the Korean Zombie should fight next? What do you think is next? And then his second question, what do you think is next for Aldo following the news that he signed a contract extension? And can I go first on this? Is that okay?
Sure.
Or you want to go first?
I got all kinds of matchups, but go ahead. No, you go
Okay,
first.
well, I think a lot of people were saying, you should clearly make Korean Zombie versus Aldo. And I actually do not agree with that rematch.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't agree. First of all, people are forgetting that Aldo said he doesn't want to do 5-round fights unless it's for the title anymore. And
I'm surprised they're not calling for the Yair rematch.
That's beneath him.
You love rematches.
I love Korean Zombie, if I'm being honest. I think that the fight to make is that I think Korean Zombie should chill on the sidelines and fight the winner of Brian Ortega versus Zabit, because we all know that the winner of Holloway Edgar is facing Volkanovski.
Do we know that?
I mean, well, if Edgar wins, everything goes into upside down land and gets destroyed. But if Holloway beats Edgar, then he's facing Volkanovski next. Yes.
I'm not positive about that. But
Okay.
I guess we'll see. I don't know who's next for him. It's really, it's got to make sense, you know?
Yeah.
I personally want to see Aldo versus Yair Rodriguez. I want to see that bad.
You want to see, I'm sorry, Korean Zombie versus Yair?
No, he said Aldo.
Oh,
I want
Aldo.
to see Yair
I'm sorry.
versus Aldo.
I hear you. Yeah, that'd be great.
And then the Korean Zombie, I mean, who is right up there?
Ortega is a beat winner.
I guess that's the only matchup for him. Because I don't think you can throw Ortega right back into a title fight after one fight, personally. But if Zabit wins, he's undefeated. He has all the claim to a title title shot there is.
Yeah.
So
hard to disagree. Are we done with the questions?
I do not think so. Let's see. I got Nathan at N_Web1212. What do you think will headline the MSG card this year? I like this question.
Woo.
I think it's a no.
Oh, it's a no-brainer?
No, it's not a no-brainer.
Go ahead. You go first. You were about to say no-brainer.
Right. Okay, here's a wild guess. Conor McGregor versus Tony Ferguson.
For an interim belt, or?
No.
Really? Because Endeavor has been so far they've been very strict, saying that pay-per-views may only be headlined by title fights. You don't believe him? You're calling the
No,
bluff?
I believe that. Well, you asked me on the fly. I'm just trying to give you big, grandiose names that could headline.
I don't think
fine,
Conor wants to take that fight, by the way. Because that won't go so good for Mr. McGregor.
So basically, obviously, the only fight Conor wants is the rematch with Khabib, and if he loses that, I'm sure he'll retire. So
correct.
This is, Conor's career is basically over. So I'm just kind of trying to talk myself into like dream matchups, I guess. Let's see. Will Usman be healthy by then?
Yeah, he should be. But are they going to let him headline? Are they going to let Usman headline MSG? Headline?
Versus Ben Askren with all the heat?
Yeah, if Askren can get past Masvidal.
Didn't Askren just wrestle Jordan Burroughs in New York?
Yeah, he got whooped. Did you see that? I saw it.
But did he draw a crowd in New York is what I'm asking.
Yeah, but he got whooped.
But do people know who he is in New York is my point, yes.
Yeah, okay, so you're saying it's going to be Askren Usman.
That'd be my second. Those are completely off from the hip.
My guess on MSG, and by the way, I want to go on record on saying I hope I'm wrong. I think it's going to Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I want to recant. It's going to be a John Jones fight.
Oh, interesting. Against who? Against who?
He's John Jones versus... We'll go...
This is great radio, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Dead air. I don't know. John Jones.
Okay.
Versus Johnny Walker.
Yeah, you think they'll give Walker that shot so quick?
Who else is there going to be? Rakic isn't going to get it over him.
Yeah.
Maybe Corey Anderson's not going to headline that card.
No, I agree. I just think Jones is going to be the because isn't the MSG card UFC 244, if I'm correct, instead of 245?
I don't know. This is horrible. Let's move on.
No, wait. Let me make my pick, you jerk.
Fine, go.
I think that MSG is going to be headlined by, and I hope I'm wrong, McGregor versus Khabib 2.
Really?
Yeah, and I hope I'm wrong, but that's what I think.
That would be a shame.
All right, are we done with all the questions?
Is anyone clamoring for Khabib Conor 2?
I think a lot of total casuals are. I think that
Why? What was fun about that fight the first time? Can someone
don't make me defend it. Are you kidding?
Can someone please put in the comment section of this episode why you found the Khabib Conor 1 fight compelling? A, and B, why you would be excited to watch that again. That would be excellent for someone to break down.
Well, I think okay. In defense of Conor, I think a lot of McGregor fans would like to see that rematch, but I think it's suicide to do it this soon, for sure. Suicide.
Well, this soon, the guy's already been out. He's going to have been out a whole year basically without fighting again. So he's going to have 2 MMA fights in 4.5 years.
Yeah, look, I hope I'm wrong. Like I said, I hope it doesn't happen. I hope I'm wrong. And I know a lot of people are giving Poirier a lot of respect that he could beat Khabib at 242. Guys, with all due respect, you guys are absolutely delusional.
Anything can happen, but yeah.
Khabib will whoop Dustin. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but that's okay. Before we end, really quick, I'm about to pass it off to Fight Geek. Guys, I would never, ever ask you to go on iTunes and give us a 5-star review. But if you happen to have an iPhone, if you happen to enjoy the show, it would be such a huge favor to us to just hop on to the Split Decision podcast page and give us a 5-star review. It helps us tremendously. Thank you so much for listening. And Fight Geek, I will hand it off to you to take us away.
All right, guys. As usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We're at Split_podcast. That is 4 words. The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.